Looking out my kitchen window. And ladies, it is here. We posed a question last week about dating after 50. And yes, the ladies have spoken, and I am excited to share with you their opinions, their experiences, and their words of caution when dating after 50. So get ready, grab your tea, your coffee, your ice cold lemonade, and let's dive in. But let me tell you something. The responses were so great that this is just part one. We will be having a part two and a part three on looking out our kitchen window and dating after 50. Because we do not want to deny you the opportunity to laugh, to ponder, and to think about what it is like dating after 50. So let's dive right in. The women gave me a whole conference when it came to their experiences. And what I love about these responses is that these women aren't talking from textbooks. They're talking from life, marriage, divorce, relationships, disappointments, healing, faith, sex, loneliness, and yes, still wanting someone to ask them, would you like to go out for a cup of coffee? So today, I'm not going to hold you up. I'm going to allow you to hear what these women have said. And before we decide where dating is going after 50, we have to understand where women are standing right now. So pull up a chair, lean into the window, and let's hear what it is. One of the first women answered was Lois. She came in with a conversation with something immediately. She said, dating after 50 is good if you're not set in old habits. That's for you and the person you're dating. And if you have gone through the process of maturing and of knowing what you want and not blocking your way. Now that stood out to me, not blocking your way. Because we can talk all day about dating, what we want, what we need, what is lacking. But we also have to know we bring something into this dating arena too. Are you still carrying old expectations, old wounds, old habits, an old definition of what relationship is supposed to look like? Are you still looking for someone new while expecting them to show up exactly like someone you loved 20 years ago? Maybe dating after 50 requires something that we didn't have years ago, and that's self awareness. Being aware of who you are, what you want, what you need, and what you're not willing to accept. Lois also noticed something else. She said the pace has changed. It's a faster pace. She remembered a time when a man would take you out and spend hours talking to you, wanting to know how you thought, what you believed, even making you laugh, what you dreamed about. He wanted to get to know you mentally and emotionally, and maybe even spiritually. But Lois said some men today, they have reversed it. Before they get to know you mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, they want to get to know you physically. Yes, they want to get to know your body. And that's a turnoff, she said. They want to get to know me sexually before they even get to know who I am. And another question, she said, what happened to the 90 365-day rule. Some of you may be familiar with that. And it was so many days before you even considered having sex. Well, Lois, I might answer that a little bit because I believe that rule has went out the window. People are not looking at getting to know you sometimes. It depends on the person. Let's change it up. And then another woman said she described a relationship she had with a younger man, and she meant younger. He was 15 years her junior. But she said this relationship was respectful, giving. He was a great listener, a great conversationalist, available, and a gentleman. And she told us something that revealed why the relationship meant so much to her. She said he was a caregiver by profession. And during the time when her mother became sick, this man, he cared for her mother. He showed her love and gentleness. Now, that's the difference when telling something about him, when he's demonstrating his character. And that's something you have to look at. How does that person treat the people you love? It could be your children, your grandchildren. It can be a good friend. Do they ask about them? Do they show concern for them? That demonstrates, and also watch how he treats the women in his family, his mother, his sister. Be very aware when a man says, "Oh, I don't go around my mother," or talk bad of their sisters, or even female cousins. Those are red flags, ladies. It demonstrates their character. She also said about this relationship with this 15-year junior, he set the bar pretty high for me. And she said we had an 8-year relationship, but we did have to part because it's something he deeply wanted that I was unable to give, and I was honest with him. He wanted a child, and I was unable to give him that in this time of my life. And I told him. I didn't deny it. I didn't manipulate the relationship to continue in it. I was honest with him. Honesty, as they say, is the best when you're trying to build or maintain or sustain a relationship. Sometimes those very uncomfortable conversations have to be had. Okay? She also said that this man showed up for her. And in this season of our lives, we want someone to show up for us because remember, whoever you may date, they have a full life. They're not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. They may have children, grandchildren. They may even still be working and have hobbies and other friends and other interests, just like we do. But knowing that that person will show up for you, be present is important. Yes, we have full lives, but having someone in our life who makes time for us is important because one of the things in the conversations was some of the women were in relationships, but they felt lonely. And in this season, we're not going to go into a relationship to continue to feel lonely just to say we have a man in our lives. And another thing that one of the ladies said, she said some men aren't shy about letting her know that the first thing they notice is her body. In her words, she said, my assets. That's what she said. Before they get to know your name, before they get to know who you are, they're discussing your anatomy. And she said, I'm not even open for those type of even encounters. Yes, I want to be attracted to you, and attractive to you, but my assets is not the first thing I want you to notice about me. And women want to be desired without being reduced to what is physically desirable about themselves. There's a difference. You can find me attractive and still respect me. You can admire my body and still be curious about my mind. So, that approach, I don't have a problem with dating, but do not approach me with my body is the main priority here. And she also expressed that she didn't mind dating a younger man too, as long as he approached her respectfully. Mm. And there is something else that is emerging through these conversations. Women want a man who is self sufficient. He has to have his own. He has to enjoy life and has done some personal healing from his past. I do not want to continue to be looked at what happened to you with maybe your wife, with your girlfriends. I want to be looked at because you have healed as something new and something fresh. Okay? Lois also said, I do not have any standards so high that a man cannot reach me, but I don't have them so low that I'm in the gutter and I have to be desperate for anything. Because you have to remember, one of the ladies said, that a good man does not mean he's your man. He can be a good man, a wonderful man, handsome, financially secure, a praying man, and still not your man. That doesn't mean something is wrong with him, and it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It could be compatibility. We have to be compatible. And she said, Lois said, I want someone to meet my energy, not someone that I'm dragging around, begging to be involved in my life and the things that I like. It's important that you match my energy, match my vitality, my excitement, even in this season of my life. It's important. Those are some important things, ladies, as we're thinking about dating after 50. Another woman said, you know, I have routines and I have my obligations. I'm even still working. I'm working in the ministry. And I have to know if this man is willing to accept my schedule, my life. I'm not asking him to participate in everything I do, but I'm asking him to be open to I am living a full life. And I just want to welcome him into the life that I am living, just like I want to be welcomed into his. Another woman said, she said, I'll be 69 this year and have never been married. Have you heard that, ladies? Everybody has not been married. But she said, I am still open to being married. I want to date, but I want to date with the understanding that I'm dating and being courted to be married. She says, I'm living for Jesus. And she feels that the dating pool becomes even a little smaller when you're looking for someone who has a strong spiritual life and lives that spiritual life openly. She said, I'm just not dating just to date. I want to be married. So think about that, ladies, as you're considering dating. Are you dating hoping to get married and you're not allowing that person to understand that you're dating to get married? There's a difference because that means you're dating intentionally. You're not haphazardly, maybe he'll ask me, maybe we'll fall in love. No, you let that person know at the beginning, maybe not on the first date, because that's kind of coffee and chatting. But as you continue to date, that you're not just dating to date, you're dating to get married. And if you do have that intention, you have to think at that age, you both may have your own homes, your own opinions, grandchildren. So if you're dating to get married, you're talking about dating and merging two different worlds together. What would that look like? What would be the challenges? What would be the blessing and the victory of it? Take some time to think about it if you're dating to get married. And remember, she also said you have to pray when you're dating intentionally. And someone else brought up this. They said, girl, there used to be a time when I was introduced to a man. It could have been a cousin, it could have been a brother, it could have been a friend at church, it could have been a coworker. And now it seems like that's not happening. People are quick to send you to an app. But dating from what I consider a referral system, that means you have a reference point, someone who knows the person and kind of know a little about you that it may be a great fit. And you might be out there going to church or even working, going to functioning, shopping, living your life. And one of the ladies said, I'm doing all of those things. I'm living my life. I'm taking my granddaughter places, interacting with people. But did you know not one person in years have asked me, let's go for coffee? And she said, my brother gave me some advice. He said, if you see a man that appeals to you, there's nothing wrong with you asking him, hey, would you like to go for coffee or dessert? And her response to her brother was, mm, well, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable right now with asking a man out. It could be that maybe she felt that if she did, she looked at maybe desperate, or she looked at like she was willing to accept anything. Ladies, have you thought about asking a man out that you may have seen several times, or even just happened to see him while you're out shopping? You just watched and observed him, and you said, I think I would like to go out on a date with him, just coffee or dessert. But you was not bold enough to just approach him and say, hey, would you like to get coffee one day? Or are you still waiting for someone to walk up to you and invite you? That might be something to consider. It doesn't say that you're a desperate woman. It just say you're more assertive when it comes to your life and the things you want, and you're not willing to sit and wait. Okay? That's something to think about. And then there's healing. That was an important theme. One of the ladies, and I believe it was Lois, shared something very personal that I believe belonged in this part one of the conversation. She said after her divorce, she had a serious relationship within the first year, but she realized she was not ready. She was still working on herself. And instead of holding, she considered this good man down, not being afraid that someone else would approach him. She said she let him know. She let him know that she felt she had more work to do with herself. She wanted to spend more time healing. and the relationship came to an end. She said she wasn't sad about it. She was proud of herself. Because how many of us take the time to be honest and say, yes, I would like to date, but am I ready to date? Also, one of the ladies said, happiness starts with the person who's staring me in the mirror. And if I'm not happy with me, how can I be happy with anyone else? And that's big when we talk about dating. And maybe the goal is building a life that we love and being open to someone worthy of sharing it. Lois says she's open to marriage again. She's gone on dates, she's met men, but she's still willing not to waste anyone's time if she feels she's not ready. And as I listen to these first voices, ladies, I'm realizing something. These women are not saying they don't want love. They're saying they want more from love. They said they want attraction, but they do not want to be looked at as an object. They say they want companionship, but they're not desperate. They want sex to have its proper place in this relationship and not the price of admission into the relationship. They understand that boundaries are just doors to show men how to enter into their lives. They want men who have something going on in their lives. They want emotional availability and conversation. And if they're considering marriage, they want intentional dating. You see, and they're willing to date younger men, and they're willing to wait on God's choices, some of them. And some may even be considering doing the unthinkable. And that means asking men out themselves, understanding I'm not asking you to enter into my bedroom or maybe not even into my life. Let's have coffee, let's talk, let's have fun, and let's enjoy each other's company. So, ladies, this is just the beginning. But before we leave this window today, I want you to think about 3 questions. If you met someone tomorrow or even today, are you truly ready or simply tired of being alone? I didn't say lonely, I just said alone. Are your standards protecting the woman you become, or are they old habits preventing someone new from getting close? And here's the one I really want you to sit and think about. At this stage in your life, what does a person have to bring besides attraction for you to say, there might be something here worth building upon? One lady in our conversation said something that stayed with me. She would rather be single, going places, having fun, and enjoying dating than be committed to one person and still feel lonely. Maybe that is true for us all. Being in a relationship and being connected is not the same. So we're looking for connection. It's very important. That was part 1 of the conversation. Get ready for part 2. And that is where we're going beneath the conversation. We're going to talk about what may really be happening between men and women after 50. What are the expectations? What is sex saying? What are the changing roles that is happening? And a thing called, I have been doing this my way for 30 years, and I don't think I need your help. And then there's part 3. And we're going to talk about newfound truth. We're not going to be talking about what's wrong with men and what's wrong with women. Oh, no. But we're going to be talking about what does a healthy, mature, intentional love looks like. Because maybe love after 50 isn't supposed to look like love at 25 and 30 and 40. And maybe we're not supposed to go backwards and recreate what we had. Maybe we're invited to discover something we didn't even know to create the first time because we didn't have the wisdom or even the patience. So, next time, ladies, as we're looking out our kitchen window, we'll be still looking at dating after 50. Have an enjoyable day or evening, and we'll see you next time as we continue to look out our kitchen window and look in and have amazing conversations with one another.